Welcome to the Opinionated Geek podcast. I am your host, John Hanna. Uh, we're going to see how this goes because last week was a little bit hectic. I basically had car issues and I had to get that worked out, and I was too stressed about that to even attempt to do the podcast, so I just ignored the podcast. Uh, you can always get updates. Probably the best way to get updates is through the Opinionated Geek uh, Facebook page. And yeah, that's basically how the best way to get updates immediately. Basically, I don't do a whole lot of here. I don't do a whole lot on Twitter either. I'm still kind of confused confused about why Twitter is so popular as it is. But overall, we're doing this at the seat of my pants type thing. Between the car issues and the holidays picking up, work is kind of crazy. Uh, I'm also got some other personal stuff going on as well. So we're actually doing this the old way right now. We have the web browser up, so I don't have my secondary tablet to read the news off of. So yeah, just ignore everything and all that stuff. So we'll get to what I've been playing. Granted, I haven't played anything this week. I was playing it all last week. Uh, or for the, well, yeah. I had a lot of stuff planned for last podcast, but we're going to do it now for this one. So, obviously, I've been playing more Kingdom Come Deliverance. Again, super, super cool game. Uh, I didn't think it was actually going to hit me as hard as it has when it comes to this game. I was just thinking, for the most part, a very chill, but more like simulator type thing. But I didn't think the quests were really going to be hitting me like they have, and so far they have been going on. Well, I mean, for the most part, since I last talked about it, this quest has been going on trying to figure out who this murderer is. And I haven't got much further because of things being crazy. But nonetheless, it's super cool. I've gotten a little bit further now where I had to, since the preacher wasn't going to help me because I failed his sermon, I need to figure out how to get more information. So I went back to my leader person, and that I, go to. He's the person in command. Uh, he suggested that I go and check on this one other person that I can get for like records, and they might have possible things like information. So naturally, I went checked him out. He obviously didn't want to give me stuff right away. He wanted something in return because he's a drug addict. So I got him his drugs. He then gives me the records, and then I kind of find out where the next person that I'm supposed to look for might be at. And of course, that goes on, a little bit further, and I'm throwing a whole lot of like this like long process of trying to figure all this stuff out. And in the end, I like finally get down to the narrow, like, okay, we're finding out this place. And the guy that is supposed to be the guy who stole my sword at the beginning of the game, and now we're trying to get it back. So I'm not sure if this will be like the actual end of the game. I definitely do not think it is. But yeah, for the most part, I'm everything matters when it comes to this game. Like uh if you're going to get attacked by like multiple people, you you either are going to be good at fighting, or you want that to happen at night. So what I've learned to do uh, is be a little bit more careful when I'm like going to go into a camp. I'm going to do it at night because if you do it during the day, you're going to be chased down, and they will continue to chase you until you know until you're dead, basically. Because no matter what, you can't seem to run away. Uh, so what I've learned to do is, at night they can't see what you're doing, and it's very accurate. If you have no light source, they can't find you once you get so far out, and it's pretty easy to lose people. During the day, not so much. So I'm supposed to head over to this camp and find a way to sabotage the camp in one way or another. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this at night because it's probably going to be the best time. I go over there at nighttime of what I think's the camp. This is this is the issue that I'm having right now, and I need to go back and play it to see if I'm doing everything right. I think it's the camp that I'm supposed to go to. Now the question I'm starting to ask myself, and I'll tell you why later, is now I'm wondering if it's that was a location to start looking for the camp. But either way, because when you think of camp, you think of maybe like, especially when it comes to medieval times, you think of like a little, tents and stuff. Well, they already had, they actually had structures, and I'm, slowly creeping up on this place, and then lo and behold, I'm just starting to notice there's no guards, and you think if it's a bandit camp, no matter what, you should have at all times. I mean, even in D&D, you have always a a, a guard, so you can actually do some watching, so that way you don't get caught off guard. Well, there was no guards, so then I start like slowly looking in, and I shouldn't say slowly. I did look in. I did the one that I actually went into the first time. I looked and I saw that there was only one person in there, and he was asleep. So once you go up to him, you got the option to basically suffocate him, and once you suffocate him, then you have the option to move him, because essentially you made him pass out, or you can kill him. So I do that. Perfect. Then I guess I got too confident and too cocky, or something. I'm just going to say I wasn't paying attention. I went into the second building, and I think there was only two buildings, and I definitely seen there was another guy right ahead, like the other guy, and I just I guess in my head I was not thinking. I'm just figured, it's like the other one. So right off the bat, I go to suffocate him. I do that. I mispress my buttons, and I pick him up, but then I lay him down, and then I go to kill him. Well, when you kill him, it's almost like you're like stepping on their neck or something. They don't really show you what you're doing, but basically you hear some snapping and stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody starts yelling. And I forget what he said, but basically he was just like, "Help, help." And he just bolts out the door and just runs. And of course, he's just continuing to do this. And I'm trying to catch up to him to try to actually, kill him and shut him up. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, this is a little odd. And I'm starting to second guess. I'm like, is this the hideout? Is this the camp that I'm supposed to be sabotaging because I would think if he was a enemy and a bandit, he would actually be wanting to grab a sword, and even though he's, has no armor on, grabbing a sword and trying to fight me. That's what I would think. But no, he's literally just running away like he is a farmer or somebody that just doesn't know how to fight. And so and that's where I kind of ended it. I forget what the heck I was doing, but I was like I have to stop now. Not that I did I not that I wanted to, but there was something that came up where I had to stop streaming. And I'm like, what? It's actually a really really cool game. And again, highly recommend it. But we're going to continue to talk about it as I discover stuff. But it definitely has its issues. Like uh when I was doing a hunting quest, literally, usually when it comes to bugs, it's usually like you get stuck between some rocks or something. With this game, I was literally walking on flat ground, and I got stuck. I would go pull my arrow back and go to shoot my arrow, and the arrow would just stay right where it was at, right near my face. And it didn't matter what I do, jump, crouch. I tried to do everything. I was just literally stuck. So when it has its bad days, the game has its bad days, and it's just one of the things where you just have to realize that some of the times you're going to have to reload the game, and it sucks because of the way the saving system works. It wouldn't be bad if you just press F5 and it's like, okay, every so often, but this game has a thing where you have to sleep or use a potion in order to save. So that's where they kind of screw you over. It's like it wouldn't be so bad if you could save whenever you wanted to, but because of the way it does save, you could be backtracking a bit. But for the most part, the saves, as long as you're progressing the story, the saves aren't too big of a jump. Sometimes there might be a 15-minute period where you have to redo 15 minutes of gameplay, which can be annoying. A lot of the games that I stopped playing is because of the fact that they make me play a section of the game again, and I just get irritated with that, and I just end up stopping, and I never go back to it. Not It's one of the things where I kind of wanted to go back to it, but I just never do. Alrighty, on to the Shapeshifting Detective. That came out uh, not last Friday, but the Friday before that, I think. Uh, I beat it already. It's sadly it's a very short game, but the cool thing is it's got like maybe like six endings, so you can probably play it multiple times. In fact, I'm actually going through it again. Granted, because I've already been through it one time, I I'm not as like gung ho about doing it the second time. And it's not because it's a bad game. It's just you know, I've heard this person say this thing. I heard this person say that thing. And yeah, you can with your uh choices, it can change. In fact, it's obviously changed because like right here in the picture, uh you got the redhead in the center, uh Violet. She's got a gun. I'd never seen her with a gun in my gameplay. The guy to the right of her, Rain, he's got a knife. Again, haven't seen him with a knife. There's a whole bunch of other cool stuff like it's a game about it's a mystery game. You are trying to figure out who murdered this cello player, which is a redhead, and the idea is there's this thing that they call travelers that is for some reason apparently kills in threes, and for this one they're killing redheads, and which is great because not the idea of killing redheads, but you get to see a whole bunch of attractive redheads in this game. Even the weird one, I'm like, she's not really that attractive, but she's odd, so it kind of there's a weirdness about her that I'm like, okay, I get it, I get it. But the Violet, of course, the girl who plays Violet, she was in uh the Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, I think that's what it was called. Uh, she was beautiful in that one. Of course, she's beautiful in this one, especially with the curly hair. Uh, and the cello player, I didn't get to see much of her in this gameplay that I did. I guess because I didn't like go like just the choices that I picked. I didn't get to see a whole bunch of her, but at the very end of the game, they actually, while they're doing the credits, you get to hear her talk and do an interview, and she's Polish, and got this really cool accent, and then she's very attractive on top of that. So that was really nice, but overall, really cool game. Here's the problem with I feel with this game gaming company. The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, it was a game where you ask questions. And when they originally had the game came out originally, you actually had to type the questions out, which was kind of cool. But if you didn't know the word that they were trying to get you to put in the sentence, you could kind of go around in circles, and it took forever. Then they later made a choice where you can actually pick the questions, which was nice of them. But overall, the game was you ask questions, and then at the end of the game, you kind of decided uh, who murdered Dr. Decker. And the Shapeshifting Detective is kind of like that. Now, I haven't went back and played Infectious Dr. Decker when they put the pre-made questions to ask the people in, and you could turn on that option to do that. I imagine if I go back, it will be very much like the Shapeshifting Detective. But the cool thing about the Shapeshifting Detective is every single person you meet in the game, you can then shapeshift into. So you go back into your hotel room, and then you can change into whatever character you've already met, and then of course you can go and meet, uh, ask questions that you wouldn't normally be able to ask, or you can confront different characters in different ways that you couldn't normally do as your main character, which is it is a cool element. And in fact, I imagine when Violet gets the gun or Rain gets the knife, it's because I've pressed too far with those characters, and they know something's up. They know that I'm not the person that I really am, or portraying, I should say. And they probably get paranoid and, you know, threaten me with threaten me with my life because they realize whoever I am, I'm not the person I am portraying. At least that's how I think it is. So, although that's a cool element, I I feel like in the end you're just still clicking on questions and trying to figure out who the murderer is. So it's almost like it's a basic choose your own adventure in a way. And although it's fun and I enjoy it. And it's these games are like $10. They're not real expensive whatsoever. They're worth the $10 easily. But what I think it's missing is what Contradiction did. Contradiction, it it added a gaming element to it. These are very like choose your adventures, where Contradiction was like, okay, you ask the person questions, and then you ask another person questions, and then you can try to see if they mess up on their you know, whether stories match, and if you can find information about something else, and then you can go to the other person and then ask them about that and see if all their story adds up. And if all their story doesn't add up, then you can actually, go in and say, look, you said, or yeah, basically, yeah, it's all about what that person said. And it's like, you said Thursday you were here, but then you said, you know, I forget. I can't really make any uh correlations to the game. I'll have to go play it again. But it was a really cool element that kept you engaged in this idea that you need to figure out. Where this is like you need to figure it out, but it doesn't feel like you're involved because there's no gaming element. You just literally are picking questions, and then like, okay, they don't want to answer that question. Well, maybe as another character, they might answer that question, type of thing. So I don't know. It seems very simplistic, but it's still fun, but very short. I beat it in my Steam said it was 2 hours. I'm not sure if that. I'm 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 guessing it's probably a little bit more closer than to 3 hours, but I could be wrong. But again, I could have took a very short way. I was being very cautious with this game because I wanted to so-called win. I didn't care too much about the idea of what you possibly could do. Like, for example, when you meet the girl who got murdered, you meet her boyfriend. You literally, the first thing he says is like, "Hi, who are you?" You can literally say, "I am a shape-shifting detective," even though that's the idea you don't want to do. You don't want to let anybody on that you are a shapeshifter. They also said in the game that you shouldn't turn into a kid. There is a kid in the game, but for the life of me, I don't think I could. I didn't figure out uh, if I could shapeshift into it. There was no ever option with the choices that I've made to be one. But my guess is, I don't know if you look at the picture on the screen right now. Uh, Violet, I don't know if she's looking down or not, but my guess is because the kid is related to Violet. I want to say with this gun picture, she's probably pointing a little bit down and looking a little bit down. I could be completely wrong, but or there could not be even a way to change into a kid. But that was one of the rules. You can't touch, apparently, according to this guy that you talked to at the beginning of the game, or you shouldn't touch and shouldn't change into a kid. So my guess is there's ways to do both of those. Uh, I don't want to give away a lot, but even the achievements have some pretty interesting things. Like I only got like 33% of the achievements, so there's multiple things that you can do that I didn't do. So one thing is the the murdered girl. She takes some I'm going to have a problem saying this. Boudoir, boudoir. I don't know. Scandalously clad, lingerie type shots, and apparently you can actually watch videos or look at pictures, and I didn't get to do that at all. So sadly, and so there's a lot of stuff that I didn't do, and I want to go back and play it. Well, actually, I am playing it again, but I guarantee I won't even get through half the stuff again. So there's a lot of stuff that you probably have to do multiple playthroughs to see everything. So I guess in a way it's not a short game, but to actually just beat it is a short game. And in fact, I actually even got the as far as I know, I got the actual killer the first time. But I'm curious if I actually did get the killer, or if they just make it look like I got the killer, and there might be somebody else out there, type of thing. I also I forget what they said. They said something in this game that makes me want to say that they might cross cross worlds. Like, well, we got Jenks in here, the guy that played Jenks in Contradiction. You got Emma, the actress who played Emma in Contradiction. She's in here too. So there's it's a small niche uh, type of genre of game. So I imagine they might, if they can get the rights with the other creators, that they're obviously not doing anything with Contradiction. They said they would like to, but doesn't look like they're going out of their way to make a Contradiction to. I want to say they might even be starting to possibly cross cross the worlds and have like this world also be in the Contradiction world as well. Because Violet made a statement about devil worshippers, and obviously in Contradiction there's devil worshippers. Uh, Jinx, uh, granted, his name is Dupont. He is actually now chief, and obviously with Contradiction, Jinx had to always contact the chief. So it would be really interesting if they actually crossed the world, but I don't know if they will or not. But anyway, really good game. I recommend it. It's a couple bucks. Check it out. Check out Contradiction too. Uh, Doctor Decker is it's all right. It's got the Cthulhu type vibe where if you ask too much questions and stuff, you could go crazy. I'm not sure what that really means because I don't actually ever. I play the games too safe, dang it. But yeah, we I it's got that element of the Cthulhu world. But problem I have with that game is, I guess because they did the probably the better option with Contradiction. They went all out. It's almost like they rented a whole small town. Granted, I'm sure they might have only had shots of the town and filmed everything in one building. I could be wrong, but if they were intelligent about it, that's probably what they would do. But in the end, I guess they ran out of money, and it was they had a hard time finishing it. But they've had multiple locations and stuff. But that also made the game really interesting. Uh, Dr. Decker, they literally you were a psychiatrist slash detective, so you literally every patient would come in and sit on the same couch. So it was literally done in one room. This one, it's done in a hotel for the most part. You go to a couple different locations, uh, but for the most part, it's all the main like possible people that you talk to are all in the hotel. So it's it's still a little bit more, got a little bit more locations. But yeah, with Dr. Decker, because it's set in like one room, it can get, I guess, a little boring. Not that the information that the characters aren't giving you is not interesting, but because there's no change of scenery, it can get a little boring. All right, and now on to news. Uh, we're just going to run through them real quick. It's not really like huge amount of news. Uh, Star Citizen. I'm not sure how this is possible, but they've now have broken past $200 million for their crowdfunding, which blows me away. I spent like $30 on the thing, and that's all I did. Now, of course, you got some people that are spending thousands of dollars on this thing. You don't even know when it's going to be coming out. The nice thing is they're very open. If you go on their website, they go through everything that they're doing. So they're very open about everything. You can even play parts of the games that they have done. Uh, and then, of course, I think it's like every week they even got like a YouTube show. I think it's called Across the Universe, and you can watch that. And if you don't feel like looking through the website and stuff, they'll actually tell you right there what's going on in the world of Star Citizen. My thing is like, if they get it done, great. If not, I'm out $30. But it does seem like they're dragging their feet, more so because they just kept on making bad mistakes. They changed engines, and then of course they had an issue with one of the engines not being credited or something like that. So there's a lawsuit and all this nonsense. So it's one of the things where I'm blown away that people have continued to put money into it. I'm just like, I put my $30 into it and I'm done. If it comes out, great. If not, oh well. That was maybe 3 years ago that I put that money down, and I won't necessarily miss it if it does, if nothing happens. But you know, all right. And I guess we'll just I guess we'll put that up here uh for the thing. All right. This doesn't have anything to do with the Tomb of Annihilation. It has everything to do with Dungeons and Dragons. Uh, One of the big things that I shouldn't say everybody, the majority of people complained about 5th edition is that the Ranger is apparently horrible in 5th edition. I I'm one of the people. It's like I don't really care if it's horrible as long as it's fun and I can have fun doing it. I don't care if it's got a weakness. In fact, here's how bad I don't care it's a weakness. I wanted to do a role playing thing for a character back in one of my previous campaigns. I wanted my character to be haunted. This was one. It was still when I was. I shouldn't say it was when I was new. I wasn't very new. I was playing a couple years beforehand, but I guess I wasn't thinking. But I'm like, I want my character to be haunted. And at the time, we were playing Pathfinder, and I think it's in the advanced players guide, they have a class called the Oracle, and one of the little things that you could choose with the Oracle was haunted, and I was like, oh, that's great. Now I can be haunted. But I didn't want to play an Oracle. An Oracle, for the most part, is a very magic based character. I wanted to play like a warrior type, almost like barbarian type person. So I literally played the Oracle and just boosted all my crap that I wanted to in more along the lines of a fighting character. It made for an interesting game. In fact, it was, it was hilarious because all of a sudden I couldn't show up for one of my games, so one of the players had to take control of my character, and they start like looking at my character, and I got all these spells that I never use, and they're like, "What the heck? He's got all these spells and he never uses them." So that's hilarious. But for me, it was just one of them things where I'm like, I wanted to play this character, but I wanted to be hunted, and it never crossed my mind. It's like, it's a role playing game, you dumbass. Role play being haunted. You can be a warrior or barbarian or berserker, and you just put it in your backstory that you're haunted. That's it. But I took the long, annoying route where my character was essentially gimped, uh, nerfed, because I chose what I chose. And, overall, I still had fun with the character, though. But anyway, they've now released with they have special edition, uh, a gift set. And then they got the special edition, and then they got a gift set for the just a regular gift set where it's got the regular covers. But they updated the rules, and one of the things that they updated was the ranger, and it has a lot of minor things, and I imagine lots of minor things all throughout uh, the player's handbook and stuff. But of course, one of the main things is they mess with the ranger and finally made him actually, I guess, pretty decent. So if you're, I guess, if you're wanting to get into D&D, now is probably the time to actually buy the books, because they're actually, updated with some current stuff that actually makes it good. Now, if you're like me, and a lot of the older people, now we got to print that stuff off, and I have it in a notebook somewhere if we need it. Yay! So anyway, that's that. Here's kind of another weird thing that I their excuse was a little poor, if you ask me. But apparently, Thronebreaker misses sales expectations. Apparently, because GOG's small reach, says CD Projekt Red. I don't think GOG has a small reach at all. I think if you're a fan of Witcher, you know about CD Projekt Red. In fact, I even got Witcher through GOG, and I typically at that time want all my games through Steam. Now I'm more along the lines of, if I can get the game on GOG and it's actually a decent price, I'll most likely go with GOG over over Steam. But this the thing is, now I actually just pulled up Steam. I think it was yesterday or the day before, roughly about the time this article came out, and voila, they actually said Thronebreaker is now on Steam, which is kind of sad, because I think they really, really want to break out, and I do feel that out of everything, GOG is starting to give Steam a run for their money. If you actually look at what they're doing, and if people would actually decide, okay, if I'm going to buy a game and I need to buy it and it's on GOG, you probably should buy it on GOG over Steam. Uh, they're just great people for the most part. Everything's DRM. You don't even need GOG Galaxy. You can actually play the games without their front end, essentially. I guess that's what you want to call it. But unlike Steam, where you have to don't download their games through Steam and play it through Steam, GOG's just like, here's the exe file. But also that they also got they haven't done anything in a while, and I guess because it's hard to get the developers to actually want to do this. But they also got GOG Connect. Granted, like I said, nothing's been done with it for a while, but for like a while there, every once in a while, you would check on GOG Connect, and you're like, "Hey, we have these developers, and they've worked with us, and if you have this game on Steam, you can get it transferred for free onto your GOG account." And granted, it'll still be on your Steam account, but now you have it on GOG too. So basically, my GOG collection, I've only maybe had bought maybe 10 games from GOG. My collection's I think over 80 now, just because of GOG Connect. And I think I wish a lot more people would do it. In fact, it's funny because there was an article not that long ago about how developers are like, man, Steam's just really got us, in a stranglehold. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way. You throw your games on GOG. The problem is GOG's DRM. That's their thing. Your game has to be DRM free to get it on GOG. They don't mess with DRM at all. And I think that's why people don't want to go to GOG. And I'm like, look, just put it on there. People were willing to pay for games nowadays. You're always going to get that shitbag that wants to pirate the crap. Always. And guess what? He'll get that game. Whether you want him to or not. They will get that game. But just throw it on GOG and put for like a week anybody that has your game on Steam, have it through GOG Connect, where if we have it on Steam, we can get it transferred over to GOG. And guess what? A lot more people, if a lot more companies start doing just that, guess what? GOG will be the new go-to place. Because I don't know too many people that are uh, Steam fanatics at this point. At this point, I think the Steam fanaticism has kind of died down. At least the people I know, and myself included, were starting and willing to branch out a little bit more and want a new location to get our games. And I think GOG's probably the best alternative. But it just sucks that they've decided to cave and put their game on Steam. Now, I would love to have Thronebreaker. My thing is, I'm not a huge Gwent fan, and on top of that, uh, it's also $30. If it was like a $15 or $20 game, I'd probably be all over it. But $30 for the type of game that it is, and it has to be involved around Gwent. I'm just like, eh. I'll wait until it's on sale or something. But I'm definitely curious about it, and I hope it's a really cool game. Uh, but right now, being that it's $30 and Gwent based, I can kind of pass on it until they get it down lower. But I hope it'll be an enjoyable game. All right. All right, here's another one. Devil May Cry uh, series coming from Castlevania Netflix producer. Now, as of right now, it is not known whether it's going to actually be on Netflix, but my guess is it's probably going to be on Netflix. Netflix is actually doing a pretty good job at uh, making sure anime is being brought over. I mean, even if you can't even get anime, they'll actually they'll actually bring it over and pay for it instead of just like having it, anime that's already been brought to the US. Uh, Netflix is like, we are bringing some of this anime to the U.S. through our Netflix thing, and we're going to pay people to translate it and dub it and all that crap. But yeah, so if you've liked Castlevania and you like Devil May Cry, you might be getting a Devil May Cry anime. Or I should say, a anime inspired, because I think all the Castlevania people are. I think it's a US based company doing this, doing the Castlevania show. So I know some people are like, if it's not from Japan, it's not anime. So we'll just say anime inspired uh, cartoon for Devil May Cry. So I think that's pretty cool. The more, the merrier, I say. Uh, this was kind of cool. I thought I would just point it out. It's not anything like wow. If you don't know who Sonic Fox is, Sonic Fox is a game fighter. He is big into Mortal Kombat. Was it Dragon Balls? And I think he's popular in another genre, but I definitely know he has done Mortal Kombat and Dragon Ball Fighters. But I thought this was pretty cool. Uh, but he basically has donated his. Oh, that's what it was. Injustice. He's an Injustice player, which makes sense because it's Mortal Kombat essentially. But Sonic Fox is donating $10,000 of his Injustice 2 Pro Series grand prize to an opponent's family. I just thought that was cool, uh, because no matter what, $10,000 is a lot of money to a esports person, because even though they might make a lot of money, they still need to travel to the locations. And yes, they have sponsors and stuff, but esports is like you have a very, very, very it's a smaller window, I believe, than actual like the pro sports that like NFL, NBA, all those. Uh, they have a smaller window with making money than those people, and they make a lot less money than those people. So the fact that you can actually so yeah, he apparently he got a $40,000 grand prize, and he's giving $10,000 to uh the opponent's family. So that's pretty amazing, because you know $40,000 is, when you really think about it, that's not a lot. Because for one thing, you probably have to that money probably technically isn't all yours, because I'm you have to have your sponsor. He's going to, whoever they are, they're going to have to make you travel and send you to different places and stuff. And then on top of that, let's say you don't win for another, let's say, year or two, and you might make some, like, maybe a fourth prize or a fifth prize. But some of these people, when you're dealing with a couple thousand people that you're competing against in a uh, competition, there's a good chance that you might just get unlucky. And even though you are the best, you might get out and not even make the top 10. Now, luckily, somebody like Sonic Fox does tend to always end up in the top bracket. But that's not always the case. Uh, you can definitely see that in Street Fighter. A lot of the heavy hitters I have now seen go and not even show up in the top 10 anymore. Now, granted, Street Fighter 5 is kind of making little ripples, I guess, in that in Street Fighter, because it doesn't operate like a typical pro fighter. typically does, with the lag issues and all that what nonsense compared to previous editions of Street Fighter. So a lot of these old hats are having problems adjusting. But again, if this is your living, you don't make overall a whole lot of money. You need to actually do good every time. And I'm not even sure how it works with if you have a team, a sponsored team. It's like if Sonic Fox does awesome and he gets that $40,000, but let's say the rest of his team kind of slacks off. I imagine in order for this team to work, he needs to share the money in some sort of way uh, under the team's banner. But so I just thought I'd point that out. I think it's awesome what he did. I know some people. I I'm not even going to get into his like personal life or whatever, but I recently saw a Twitter of him saying about his personal life two different things, and I thought, for one, I thought he just wore the Sonic looking thing because his name was Sonic Fox. I didn't think he had a something going on in his personal life that contributed to wearing the hat. And then, of course, he mentioned something else, and I didn't know he was that either. And I'm not going to get into it because I don't care. I just think what he did was actually pretty cool. Alrighty. And this one's a good one. Yeah. Ah. Fatal Call of Duty Swatter pleads guilty to 51 charges. His name was Tyler Barris, and apparently he was 26 years old. And you would think 51 charges, that's a lot. For just swatting a guy, shouldn't that be like maybe 3 or 4 charges of different types of charges? It's like, but no, this guy has a humongous issue in his past where he like would call bomb threats on places and a whole bunch of crap. So let's see. Associated Press reports that Barris pled guilty to 51 charges in a plea deal and could face between 20 and 25 years in prison. The charges include threatening to kill another person, making interstate threats, and conspiracy to commit bank fraud. So there's another one. There's bank fraud. Barris' criminal history is long and dotted, with hoax police reports including calling in phony bomb threats to the FBI, the FCC, school malls, and television stations, according to the Wichita Eagle. On occasion, he did this on behalf of others, including Casey Vinier, 18, who enlisted Barris to swat somebody with whom Vinier played Call of Duty. So, yeah. This guy, yeah, definitely deserves. In fact, it blows me away that he was still. I mean, if you're doing phony bomb threats to the FBI, FCC, schools, malls, television stations, all this crap, how how was he even, you know, not in prison to begin with? It blows my mind. But maybe he had, because it's like a misdemeanor, he did serve time, and because there were, nothing actually ever happened out of those things, maybe that's why he never actually got to serve real time. But now he's killed somebody, inadvertently killed somebody with doing stupid stuff. So now he's going to jail for a long time. Uh, but yeah, stupid. In fact, the whole idea of swatting stupid. Just children, 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 children. Anyway, I think that is the podcast for the day, and I hope you enjoyed it. And this is actually, I think, kind of long. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.